David Poile, General Manager, President of Hockey Operations for the Nashville Predators, joins us on a momentous day here in the Music City. David, how are you, man?
I'm good. Kind of a sad day, a little bit emotional with Pekka officially, announcing his retirement. He and I talked at the end of the season, and we've had a few conversations between then and now. But I was a little bit shocked and very emotional when he first told me. But after listening to his whole thought process, and I think he's very well thought out. I have no argument and totally understand where he's at in terms of his ending his career, where he is his personal life, and all those things. So it was a great run for Pekka and for the Nashville Predators and our fans. Great goalie and great person. He meant so much to our team selling hockey here in Nashville, and also all the things that he did in the community and his charitable work, second to none. He's just a fantastic job.
David Poile.
Obviously going to be missed.
David Poile with us on 3HL. Sorry about that. Did you try to talk him out of it?
No, I really thought when we first talked that he would play another year. I don't know why I thought that, but when he came in and told me, I was a little bit in shock. But the more I listened to him, I understood where he was at. People have asked me, like, why do you think he retired? And I think it's a combination of a lot of things, but I really believe that the last home game against Carolina, where he got a shutout and he got the huge ovation from the fans from the warm up during the game to after the game, and a special unorchestrated event that took place after the game with all of the cheering and him staying out in the ice extra long.
Yeah.
I think that meant a lot. I think the fact that he won the King Clancy Award and award to it's a humanitarian award to just one NHL player every year. I think that was sort of icing on the cake, and and there was other things, of course, from a personal standpoint. But when it's all over, I mean, I know he's made the right decision, and I'm good with that. I wish we could start all over with him again. He was so fantastic for us, but it was a great career, and we'll have to call it a great career, period.
When he started that game against Carolina, did you think I might be watching Pekka's last game here?
I tried not just to think that, because we were just going to start the playoffs, and I felt that he was going to possibly play next year. But when I saw the outcome of the game, meaning he got the shutout and everything that was happening during the game, and the fans' response and the players' response, it felt pretty close to retirement right there. So I guess in some ways I knew that that had to be entering his mind the way that game turned out.
David Poile with us. David, we'll talk about, performance on the ice and go back there. But before that, I want to talk about kind of the person that Pex is. And I've always told this story about, over a decade ago, walking in the locker room, working for a local TV station. And I had a camera on my shoulder. He was in skates. It was right after practice. It was one of my first interviews with Pex. And I come up kind of later with a microphone in my hand, and he stops the entire interview and sits down in his locker because he knows how difficult it is to hold a camera on your back, when you're, 6'8" with skates on, So,
and you're not.
And bad. I'm not. You know me, I'm short. So, I always talk about that as just an example of, he didn't have to do that. And it's a lot of people are like, who cares? That's not a big deal. But that's just the kind of thoughtful guy he was in that moment. Some, peon reporter, he felt it was important to make sure he sat down to make someone else's life easier. I just want your take on him as a person and what you got to see over, the 15 years that he was in this city with us.
Yeah, I love your story, and your point illustrates that a lot of times we just rush through life, and we don't give people a proper amount of time, or any number of things. And I think Pekka gets it. He's always gotten it. I think it starts with the on ice situation. He was went through 2 drafts where he wasn't drafted. Then we drafted him when he was a bit older, and it wasn't until the 8th round, which is a round doesn't even exist anymore in the draft. So he was a complete underdog, if you will. He played 3 full years in Milwaukee, where usually the timetable of development is, often a lot quicker than that. Or if you play 3 years, you're probably thinking that this could be a guy that could be a career minor leaguer. But he always took time. He always showed patience in his own development. And I think probably a lot of that is led into his own personal life in terms of giving more time to other people, being thoughtful. We have a little bit of a running joke that we always operate on a real schedule here all the time, from buses to games to practice. And Pekka had a little bit of a tendency to be a little late. It's like today I was going to meet him at 10:30. He showed up at 11:15. I mean, it doesn't seem to faze him at all. So again, he does things all for the right reasons. So again, a complete person. I mean, this morning after the press conference, I was asked some questions in a media scrum, and I thought about it, and I mean, I think he's the most influential athlete in all the years that Pekka's been here, both in what he's done for the sport, meaning for the Predators, the game of hockey, growing the game, increasing the fan base, all those things, and then he completes the full package by all the things that he participates on off the ice, and all the things that people say about him. I can't tell you how many letters that we've gotten over the years for Pekka. Met Pekka here, he did this appearance, or it's just a casual thing, like he met somebody at a store and he took the time to sign an autograph or something like that. So it's hard to beat Pekka Rinne in terms of the total package, as far as I'm concerned.
David, that's huge right there. That compliment you just gave him, and coming into this situation, I grew up right here in Nashville, and to see him change the culture, this was all Titans, in this basketball and football. This is the South, but to bring hockey here and to know the impact that he made, when did you start to see that turn with Pekka?
The biggest interest in your sport, and again, as an expansion franchise, we did okay. But, there was a little bit more losing there was at winning at the beginning. And when we brought Pekka in here to be a full-time goalie, we started to win a lot more than we were losing. And I think that the growth of hockey kind of and solidifying Nashville as a hockey city, if you will, really started to take hold. And, of course, the pinnacle for us right now has been 17 when we went to the Stanley Cup Finals, and then 18 we won the President's Trophy as the number 1 team in the league, and a lot of that is just carried over to capacity, crowds, a lot more interest in the Predators overall in terms of the following or our coverage or the sponsorships, all the other things, our involvement in the community, and again, I think Pekka is really synonymous with almost everything that happened in us. Getting this franchise going in the right direction. I mean, if you look way back to the very beginning, Nashville was called a non-hockey market, and there was a lot of games here on weekdays, especially where the crowds weren't too big. And we also ran through a situation where the owner didn't think that it was going to make it, and he was selling the team, and the team was almost going to move at one point back up to Canada to Hamilton. So those days seem to be in the rearview mirror. But if it wasn't for players like Pekka and the growth and interest of the sport, all these things that are happening down at Bridgestone Arena wouldn't be happening here today. So we owe Pekka a lot, that's for sure.
David Poile with us talking about Pekka Rinne as he announced his retirement today. You mentioned it a little bit earlier in the conversation. I'm curious, what did you guys see in Pekka Rinne during the scouting process? Because from what I hear, it was a difficult scout in terms of playing time, 8th round pick, and he turns into potentially a Hall of Fame goaltender. What did you guys see? How difficult was it to scout him?
Well, it was very difficult because he didn't play in the elite or number 1 leagues, and we don't look at the secondary leagues as much. Our European scout, Yanni Kekalainen, obviously deserves the bulk of the credit. And I don't know if you've heard the story, but what had happened is he had a good feeling about Pekka from the few times that he got to see him play. And so I sent over Ray Shiro, my assistant general manager at the time. And when he got to Finland, Yanni called him and said to Ray, come over to the game early. And Ray said, well, why do I have to come early? And he says, because Pekka is not playing. He's just going to be the backup. So you're going to want to watch him in warm up.
Oh, my
Which,
goodness.
if you watch hockey warm ups, the second goalie, takes some shots, but it's mostly it's not usually the guy that's starting that has the most shots. So, the story goes that we drafted him based on the warm up, which is not entirely true, but like any good story or like aging your wine, it gets better with each year. So, it's a little bit of a long shot, if you will, and it was a long development process. And again, it just goes to Pekka's maturity as a hockey player and as a person. He was up for the long run, and he wasn't judging himself, nor were we, just on a day-to-day basis. So you got to be good, you got to be lucky, and it's just turned out to be a great story all around obviously for Pekka and his career and his family, and for the Predators and for hockey in Nashville.
So Shiro calls you. He's like, hey, DP, I've never seen a guy warm up like this. This guy's going to be a Hall of Famer. That's how that conversation went, right?
That's approximately how it was. But in the eighth round, I mean, let's face it, you're looking for something different, looking for a little bit of a long shot, and every once in a while you get one of those, and good for our scouts and lucky for us.
So we talk about just the impact Pex has had, and that story and all of it's amazing. But just curious, are there plans for a jersey retirement, a banner ceremony? Like what are the plans looking ahead to honor Pex?
Well, what I'm telling everybody today is that let's enjoy the moment one day at a time. The good news is that Pekka and his wife Erica and their baby Paulus and their dog are all coming back to Nashville next year to live. I think that's a fantastic decision, in terms of ending his career to spend time here in Nashville. I think he will enjoy the city and all the opportunities here even more, and he'll still be able to participate, coming to games or whatever he wants. He said today in his press conference that he needs to get a little bit of time away from it and all of that, but I think we're truly open to anything and everything that Pekka might be interested in, and I think we'll have lots of opportunities next year to celebrate Pekka.
I love that, man. The city embraces him as family, and I think you're doing the same exact thing. That's great to know that olive branch is extended for him outside of his career. But let me hear you say this, David. Do you think Pekka is a Hall of Famer?
I have lots of information on that, and I am on the Hall of Fame selection committee. So. So I'm going to have to take the fifth on that.
Oh, that's all right.
I'm someone that could have an influence on that. But he's had a great career. I mean, there's been lots of goalies. I mean, let's just being specific here in Nashville, basically answering a lot of the questions similar fashion. That his effect on our game, our winning, versus losing, our credibility, our staying in Nashville versus moving, there's no player that's had more influence on that. And I'll start looking a little bit closer at his records in comparison to all the great goaltenders in the league shortly, and then I'll be back to you on that one.
Yeah, dust that manila photo off.
I mean, he's got to be glad you're on that committee, right?
I can only take the fifth twice on one call, so there you go.
Hey, that's a record, I think. Like David Poile interviews. Have you ever taken the fifth in an interview?
I don't think I've ever taken
does.
the fifth on an interview. No, I don't think so.
David Poile with us on 3HL, we look forward to certainly celebrating that guy next season, and certainly a tough day and a great day. Like, you want to celebrate somebody's career, but always sad to see somebody like that go. Ron?
While we got you, Dave, let's just cut to the chase. How important is it for you to raise that Stanley Cup right here in Nashville?
How important is it? It's a goal. That's what
Okay.
I've been working at my whole adult life at trying to get that. It's obviously been very difficult. Pekka even referred to that in his how great it was to get to the finals in 17, but in just realizing how hard it is to get there. It's a combination of a lot of things, and we just haven't quite got there. I'm very proud of what the club has done, especially in the last 5 or 6 years, and 17, 18. I mean, being top team in the league, and things go a little bit in cycles. We right now have fought hard just to get in the playoffs the last couple of years, so we need to get better. And I made a trade a week or so ago on Victor Arvidsson, a very good and popular player at the Predators, but I think we need some changes. I think the 17 and 18 years are now a little bit behind us, and we've got to maybe have a little bit different team than we had in 17 and 18, so that we get back up to the top. So that's my goal, and that's what I prepare for every day, is to try to put together a team that has a chance to compete for the Stanley Cup.
You talk about that, and just kind of the building the tradition, the winning every year, the playoff contender every single year. How important has, just in talking about Peck's retirement, and I know it goes back to Shea Weber and even before that, but how important have those guys kind of been in building that dressing room, like this is how things are done here, and helping this franchise? I know that Peck's kind of watched, and he said today he watched how Shea did it before him as far as leadership and teaching in this franchise. What have you seen in your time here with those guys?
Well, it's to me, it's started at the beginning. I was very fortunate to hire a young Barry Trotz to coach here, and we weren't the most skilled team, based on we got an expansion back in '98, and you want to have that blue collar work ethic, and I think I'll give Barry the credit for saying we'd like to do it the Predators way, and that's the culture we want to do, and try to do things a certain way. And I think for the most part we have done that over the years. I think maybe we've fallen off the rails once in a while, but last year, for example, which was a very difficult year, COVID and other things, and our play wasn't particularly great in the first half of the season, but I think we found our way and got back on track in the second half of the year, and played right up there with the best teams in the league. And it was a lot of new younger players came in and actually gave us I would say a little bit of an emotional charge, a little bit more of an identity, and that's what you are looking for all the time. I mean, again, hockey is my sport, and I'm a little prejudiced, of course, when I say this, but I mean, I think it's the ultimate team game. I mean, you could be the best player in the world, but if you don't have other players on the ice supporting you, both skill wise and physically, you're not going to have any success. So you got to have good culture. You got to have guys that like each other, that will play for each other, will sacrifice for each other, and putting together a team is sometime to get everybody on the same page is a difficult task, but that's what my job is.
David Poile with us on 3HL. David, I appreciate the time. One more question. Obviously, we need to ask you about UC Saros and how much confidence you have in him moving forward from the Pekka Rinne years, and where are you guys contractually with him within that process?
We feel very confident in Juice, and I think Pekka certainly laid that out, that's made his decision, that he wasn't leaving us without a capable goalie. We really are just starting the negotiations, so we got a number of players that we need to sign. So that's always the fun part of the job, if you will, to get all of that done. But I mean, it should be a good fit for Juice and for us, and hopefully we'll make a good deal that reflects his value, and we're both happy, and we can get that done pretty soon.
There he is, David Poile, carving out some time for us. Really appreciate that on this day where we celebrate a great career and a great person, Pekka Rinne, retiring from the Predators. Thank you, David. Appreciate it.